Hi everyone, real quick I'd like to apologize for the sound quality in this video. I don't think I had my microphone pushed in all the way and so it's a little bit echoey. I hope you still enjoy the video. Hi everybody, welcome to another installment in our 3.2 Carrera project. We're still working on the engine, and if you remember from the last video, we found some schmutz between the cylinder and the cylinder head on the forward two cylinders, and that's got me a little worried about these head studs. So today's project is going to be to pull the valve covers on both sides and make sure that our head studs are all solid. If they are solid, I think we're good. I don't think we're going to need to take the heads off. Now, if we do find a broken stud, now that's going to be a very different scenario. With the tin off, we have a little better access to all of these nuts here. Now these are 13 millimeter and they are locking nuts. They have a little nylocky thing on them. Now I've done the valves on this car I think 3 times. So I've been in here before and I've never found any indication that we had some bad studs, but let's definitely, I just want to be super duper sure. Alright, so what I'm going to do is break all of these nuts loose and take them off, and we'll pull the cover off and see what we see. Just double checking that we have all of our washers off. We don't want anything falling in. All right, now we can just lift our valve cover off. There we go. All right, let's take a peek and see what we see. Well, this is pretty cool. Take a look at this. It looks so complicated in there, doesn't it? There's our camshafts back there. You can see it back there, and you can see the rocker riding on it. There, and also there. But what we're after is down in those deep holes there. So we've got one over here, and that one looks a little bit wet, possibly. At any rate, there we go. There's two more. Two more. And the final one here on the end. Now normally if one of these head studs has broken, you'd see that big cap nut floating around inside here. Well, actually some people say it sort of bonks them in the head when they take the valve covers off when the engine's in the car. Alright, so the moment of truth, I've got, it's actually 10 millimeter. Those things are huge. So I've got my T-bar again here and my long 10 millimeter. Let's go ahead and put this on each one. I'm just going to wiggle it back and forth and just make sure there aren't any that are totally snapped off. Alright, starting with this one all the way on the end. That feels pretty good. And this one, yeah, I'd say that one's still in there. And this one, yep. And then this one, yep, good. This one, yep. One more, okay. Well, that's really good news. It looks like all of our head studs along the bottom are good. The cap nuts are still on and everything's solid there. That's a super good sign. What I'm going to do is go ahead and pull the top valve cover off and just double check the nuts and this side as well. I'm sure they're fine. It's not the top ones that snap. It's almost always just the bottom ones. But just to be super certain, then I'm going to go ahead and throw the covers on, just sort of put them right back on again, and then spin the engine around and we'll take a look at the other side. With our top valve cover off, peering into these little holes down there, we'll see next to the spark plug down there, you can see that cap, and then we've got 2 more there, and 2 here, and then 1 more down in the base of that hole. Looking at everything else here, everything looks pretty good actually. We can see our cam back there again. Yep. Looks pretty good. Well, maybe just a bit of a formality here, but I'm just going to double check all of these cap nuts up here just to make sure we don't have any broken studs on the top. I doubt super seriously, but we'll go ahead and just double check. Checking this one, the next one. Yep, and it feels good too. Well, that's really good news on this left side of the engine. We didn't find anything wrong in there. So good. Well, all of our head studs seem solid. Everything looks great. So let's go ahead and button this up. I'm going to go put the valve covers back on and we're going to spin the engine around and take a look at the other side. We've got our valve covers back on. Now this is just temporary. I'll be pulling all this back off and cleaning it thoroughly, putting on a new gasket kit, and I do want to adjust the valves because it's super duper easy to do it like this and a super big bummer to do in the car because you know what? This bit here would be the car. So in order to do this in the car, you have to pull, of course, pull both of these covers, but this is below the car and this is inside the engine bay. It's a zillion times easier to do it with the engine out. So, okay, well, I just want to put these back on because when I turn it upside down, it's going to leak if I don't. So I don't want oil all over the place. All right, great. So we're all set. We'll go ahead and rotate this around and check the other side. I'll go ahead and give you a view of what I'm seeing down in here. So there's our rearmost lower stud cap nut. Those two there, two more, they look good, and there is the forwardmost. Now remember, we were worried about that because that's where we're seeing our worst bit of schmutz there between the head and the cylinder is on this particular cylinder. The rest of this, of course, all looks good. There's our cam back there. Everything's great. You're noticing, I'm sure, that this is a manual adjustment on the valve lash clearance. All right, I'm very excited. This is all looking very good in here. All 6 of our cap nuts on the studs are where they should be. That's a good sign. Let me go ahead and put the tool on them and make sure that they're all tight and there isn't something just spinning in there. All right, we'll start at this end down here. There we go. Yep, that one's good. Great. Next one. All right, just 2 more. All right, great. Now just 1 more. Holy cow. Oh boy, that's a relief. Well, that's that. If these are in and they're solid, then we're good. We're not gonna have to take these heads off. And that's a great thing. That really changes where we spend our money on this project, believe it or not. Now remember, our leak down tests looked great. They look super good. There's really no damage that I can find to the heads themselves, so there's no additional reason why we should actually pull this whole thing apart. Let me go ahead and just as a formality, we'll go ahead and pull the intakes off as well on the other side just to be certain. So just real quick like a bunny, I'll go ahead and throw our tool on each one of those head studs and make sure everything's fine. Okay. Yay. Feels good. Next one. And like I said, the upper studs are steel. The Dilavar studs are the ones on the bottom, and those are the ones we have to worry about. All right, that one feels good. And our final one. Woohoo! Super woohoo! All right, that's great. Well, we are good. We are not going to have to take the heads off this engine. So, you know what? Let me go get Heidi and tell her the news. She's going to be super duper psyched. Hey Heidi?
Yeah?
Can you come out for a second? I got some great news for you.
I just got off work early. That was good news for me.
So you remember our issue with this engine is these bottom Dilavar studs, right? If they're broken, we have to take the heads off. If they're not, then we don't. Guess what?
They're not broken?
They're not broken.
Oh, cool.
All right, so let me show you what we're looking at here.
That is a huge relief.
Here's a light.
Huge relief.
And take a look down there. See the little cap nuts down there?
Oh yeah. Let me see their little cutenesses. Yeah.
So can you see down into those little recesses, and do you see the cap nuts down in there?
I do see the cap nuts.
Okay,
yep.
do you see there's 2 more of them over here?
Yep.
As well? All right, well, that's what we've been worried about.
Right.
So this is what I did to check this, is I went ahead and put my tool in here. This is a 10mm hex, and if any of these are broken, of course, they're just going to spin. But every one of them was solid, so we're good with all of these. Now, I've already done this on the other side as well, and it passed with flying colors.
Wait, you did this by yourself?
I did. So there we go.
Okay.
And one more over here, just to be super duper certain. This one's a little hard to feed in. There we go.
Wow.
Okay, and you know what that means?
That means...
We don't have to take the heads off the engine.
Wow.
And you know what that's going to save us?
Yeah, I remember what it did with the Ferrari.
Right, so it was super expensive with the Ferrari. Now this would have been a bit cheaper, but I think it's going to save us about $3 grand.
That's awesome. Maybe
In a ton of
probably
time.
more than that, actually.
Yeah, maybe.
When it all said and done, and if we were taking it to somebody, it would probably be even more.
It would be quite a bit more, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm. So obviously a
good
lot
news
of
for
time.
us.
Yes.
And what happens if somebody in the is watching this video, they're doing the same thing with their car, and they do find something that's broken?
Okay, that's a great question. So if you're doing a valve adjustment and one of these things comes out and plonks you in the chest or hits you in the nose, if you do, I've heard that you can get away with one broken one, but here's the deal. If you have one broken one, they generally break because there was some slight bit of corrosion around the outside of the stud, and that funnels the force right into that little area, and then it'll fatigue all the way around, and off it goes. There's a good chance that you probably have other studs that are just about to break. So honestly, if you've got one,
if you were driving or something? I mean,
oh well, that's a good question. Yeah. So what does it look? What does those failures look like? They're really not that bad.
Really?
Chances are, if you have one, even two of
like
these,
a fan belt breaking.
No, not at all. One or two of these, what it's going to do is possibly you might get a little bit of a leak in that cylinder, and if it got really, really bad, you'll hear some blow by when you really get hammering on the throttle. Other than that, it really doesn't cause too much of a problem in the engine, but it's just a time bomb waiting to go off. And so mentioning all of that, we still, of course, have the Dilavar studs in here. So yes, going forward, there's the possibility that these studs could go bad. But at this point, I'm willing to take that risk. And the reason
every one of them is good.
Because every one of them is good, and remember our leak down numbers?
Yeah, they were good too.
So our leak down numbers were awesome. So I know that the valves are good and the valve train is in good shape as well. So I would say that I think we're good.
We're gonna roll a dice again.
Yeah,
another time.
You will do that another time.
Right.
Because this project's going to get expensive.
It will.
And we can apply that money somewhere else.
Yes.
All right, well, I think I'm going to call this episode here because this is such great news. Our plans going forward on the engine are going to be basically to just sort of clean it up. We'll go ahead and adjust the valves. We'll take the rest of the stuff off the engine, get our pleating done, get it cleaned, all that sort of stuff.
There's a lot of phone calls I need to make.
Yes, there's still a bunch of work to do on this, but the basic innards and the mechanics of the engine are awesome. All right, well, hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below.
Yeah, and if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing and get yourself notified by hitting that little bell up there. And every single video that comes out, we try to publish every week, but because of this project, we've had to do a lot of research. We've had to make some phone calls, and it's just been a little bit slower. So just realize that we are very focused on this project, and we want to deliver the very best content to you.
All right. Well, of course, a special thank you to our Patreon supporters, and thank you so much again for watching. Until next time, safe travels.
Bye.